Season 1 of Skull and Bones is set to launch this Tuesday, February 27th, and with all the new content coming into the game, I figured I would do a review and an opinion piece on all of the new things coming to Skull and Bones and some highlights from the dev stream about future content coming and things that they're considering adding or already working on. To start things off, we do know that the rival coming into the game through Season 1 is Philippe Lepeste and his ship La Potence. I'm very excited on paper and from the small bit of visual footage that we have received so far. He seems like a very interesting character, and we know that his weapons provide a poison effect, which is a new element injected into the game through this update. We do have a small bit of lore on him, knowing that he is coming from the Caribbean to the Indian Ocean in search of the cure for the curse that's been inflicted upon him. So I'm very excited to face him and his fleet, and I think it will add a nice battle to the game that is not there, in addition to like the end game content and the end game loop. It will freshen things up for a little bit, and I think it will be an interesting thing to take on with friends and solo. New world events coming into the game, so these would be the co-op events that you can work with other players on. There's a highlight on organizations like the DMC and the Company Royale rushing to complete deals before pirates can intervene. So it's our job as the players to intervene on these deals, defeat the ships, get the loot that they're carrying, any of the supplies, silver, all of that stuff. So we do have some of these in the game already, but it sounds like there's going to be new ones or, a wider array of options when it comes to the co-op events. And if that is the case, then I think that is a great bit of new content, and the co-op events can prove to be really beneficial and a fun thing to do with other players on the world or your friends. The Season 1 trailer also highlights arguably one of the things that I'm most excited for about this Season 1 content launch, which is the Leaderboard Rewards. So there will be a new leaderboard system into the game, and then at the end of each season, the leaderboards will reset going into a new season. However, they will not reset going into Season 1. And based on your positioning on the leaderboard, you will unlock exclusive weapons and equipment for your ships. I'm very excited for that. It's free content, and it's not paid extra, as we all have noted, or the majority of people have noted, and I agree with it. I think the game was priced a little bit higher. The $60 price point was just a little bit too high. I think it should have been $30 or $40. But having this content added that's free, I think that's great. I'm glad it's not a paid extra or anything like that. Not meaning the leaderboard being a paid thing, but the rewards being attached to a free concept, I think is a good move. Speaking of things to pay for, they have announced their approach to a battle pass, and I think it's awfully unique. I was actually pretty excited about it. I went into it with neutral ground, with hopes that I would be excited about it, but also understanding, again, the game was $60. Do I want to put more money into the game? Unsure, depending on what type of approach they offered and what content they offered. However, I do have to say, after a deeper look and the reveal, I am more enthusiastic about the pass. The Battle Pass, they refer to it as the Smuggler Pass, and there is a free tier and a paid tier. The free tier is where you can unlock armor, furniture, and weapons. I think that's fantastic because it's the game-changing stuff, or the stuff that changes elements of the game that affect people's builds and approach to different battles, PvP, etc. It's all free, so everybody has access to it. It's just about grinding and getting the rewards unlocked through progression in the pass. That made me excited. I was kind of nervous that if any of that content was included in the Battle Pass, that it would be on the paid side, and that would just be a total turnoff. However, the paid tier, all you get out of it is really just cosmetics and gold. Now, the cosmetic sets featured on the trailer look fantastic, but it's one of those things, it's not a necessity to be able to enjoy the game. It's a nice little extra if you want to support the company and unlock some cosmetics and gold. Then you can do so. I don't know the price point for it, so I will be interested in knowing the price point, and that will ultimately determine whether I pay for the paid version or not. However, I am happy that they made any new or bonus content a part of the free tier that relates to the game changing and builds and whatnot. Now, within the Smuggler Pass, there are 3 different avenues, I'll call them, that you can go down, and you work on them simultaneously. There's the Shipmaster, the Quartermaster, and the Gunnermaster. So from the Shipmaster pathway, you unlock the Whaling Ward armor, which offers increased protection to your crew by reducing incoming damage and stamina depletion from toxic attacks, which will be key to helping you out in that Philippe Lepeste battle. So from the Quartermaster Avenue, you get a new schematic, which I believe is a furniture piece that you can add onto your ships, which the perk to this is that it reveals weak points of the ship that you are fighting at a wider range and boosts damage done to Lepeste's fleet in his ship when in a group. So I think that will be obviously incredibly helpful for that upcoming battle. The Gunnermaster tree unlocks a new cannon that you can add to your ship, and it's ideal for flooding enemy ships. It puts an emphasis on flood damage. So I think that's awesome. So my overall impression of Season 1 is that I'm excited for the content. On paper, all of it sounds pretty good for the most part. Visually, what we've been offered, the little bits we've received from the trailer look pretty good. Definitely excited for that rival battle with Philippe Lepeste and his ship and his crew. I think it will be fun. I don't see it being a long-term thing. So these rival battles that they add, they are short-term things that, they'll be fun for a little bit. But once you defeat them with some friends after a while and try out maybe a couple builds on them, it's not going to be content that people consistently want to go back to. However, adding that world event, I think that's a constant thing that people can interact with co-op wise. I do think they need to have like a new approach to world events in the future. They can't just keep having the same types of events over and over again. So I'm curious to see how they approach that moving forward. And I hope that there's unique approaches moving forward. The Leaderboard Rewards, I'm very excited for it. That's going to really be dedicated towards people that want to grind and put hours into the game and give hardcore players or people that are really big fans of the game like myself something to strive for, something to work towards. So I am excited for that, and I really am impressed by their approach to the Battle Pass. We all knew it was coming. I am just concerned about the price point because I think the game was priced a little high. I hope their Battle Pass is not. But the exciting news about that is that if it is or out of a price range I'm willing to subscribe to, the free tier is where you get all of the new types of content anyway beyond physical appearance. Now, in addition to the Season 1 trailer, the devs did do a Q&A on their stream where they revealed the Season 1 trailer, and I did take some notes on some of the bonus questions that they did ask and some key things that I would like to go over in regards to the future of Skull and Bones and some future content. There was a conversation around larger ships and different ships coming into the game. Different ships have been modeled, so they've already created them to some level. It's something that they do want to add in the future, but priority right now is bugs, and I think that's a totally fair and honest answer. They do have a couple of bugs they need to fix, notably the chat. Both text and voice chat need to be entered into the game. I think that's an element of the game that's missing that could provide a little bit more fun to the game. And I think that will be felt once it is eventually added. But I'm glad to know that they have different ships planned and even larger ships that have been modeled and they plan to release into the game at some point. So that is exciting news. Furthermore, regarding ships, some fun things are coming regarding ship levels and rank. I'm not exactly sure what they mean by this. Maybe they'll reset. I don't think they'll reset at the end of seasons, but I'm hoping their approach is actually just increasing the level cap to ships and maybe reworking that, because so many people already have level 10 ships to the point that once you max out level 10 on a couple ships, or even just one ship, the main ship that people use, I think a lot of players just don't really bother to engage with that anymore. But even for the players that do like to work on a couple of different ships, they've put enough time into the game now from the beta all the way to since launch to really just level up their builds and their approaches with the different ships that they've chosen to unlock, and it kind of decreases the meaning of it. So I'm glad that they're looking into reworking that, and it's something they have in the works already. Staying on the topic of ships, something exciting is coming soon, making small ships relevant. They said there will be more details on that soon. That makes me really happy because a lot of people are turning to those medium ships Once you level up high enough, those small ships seem to lose a lot of their value. So to make them more relevant again and powerful and whatever else is needed, I am interested to see what they do with small ships. So I'm optimistic, glad it's being worked on and looked into, but need to know the plans, so we'll get more details in the future. Another interesting point that was brought up in the Q&A live stream was around the conversation of the map of the current game. The current map is not the full Indian Ocean they highlighted, so they're looking into ways to make the map bigger. They do want to explore that. It's not something that it sounds like they haven't worked on it or really like looked into it yet. Maybe they've had conversations about it, but it is something that they want to explore. So that's reassuring in the future. I do think the map needs to be bigger, and if they could do some sort of map expansion, it could add a lot of depth to the game as long as they make those new areas, different scenery on the islands that may be featured in the map expansion if they do one, I think will be key to making it a success. Another conversation that was brought to the table was the fact that they're looking into a way for players to toggle interest in PvP on and off. That way they can meet up with other players who are also interested in PvP and kind of just meet up in a central area or in an open area of water and just have at it and see who the better pirate is. I think that's great that they're looking into a way to toggle it on and off, because there are people that have no interest in PvP. So if you start making too many things PvP centered and it's not an option that you can turn on or off, I think it starts to isolate a demographic of players in the game, and it could potentially lead to them just not playing anymore, and that's not something that they can afford. So I'm glad that they're looking into a way to make it an option, but not a necessity, and I think that's a great approach. On the same conversation of PvP, they did note that they're gearing up for a possible larger PvP and want to monitor balance. That's a key thing for them when it comes to PvP. They do have some fun things planned slightly ahead, they noted. There is talks of a PvP server. They do have something in the works, so that is exciting as well. I think a PvP dedicated server could be great for those that are heavily interested in PvP. Maybe they've done the endgame loop a couple of times, or they've gone through enough of the story to where they just want to focus on the PvP part of the game. So if they have a server dedicated for that, I think it could really boost excitement for those players. There was a small mention of new modes for PvP, co-op, and solo coming as well. I think that's interesting. It's one of those things like, yes, of course, I'm glad to hear that they're looking into new modes. I'm just curious what some of those ideas are. They did not mention that because it sounds like it's something that's a discussion maybe being touched on, but not heavily worked on at this time. For some smaller notes, they did mention that there is a ship weapon management customization coming in Season 1 to where it will be more organized when you're trying to customize your builds on your ships between the rankings of different weapons and keeping them more categorized near each other in a particular way. So that should make it more efficient and easier to create builds and not have to look for what weapon you're looking for and to just like a random assortment of what you have. Along that same conversation, they're also looking into an open all chests function. So when you have multiple chests, you could just open all of them at once as opposed to sitting there manually opening each one. I think that's something that needs to happen. A very, very small thing, but those small things, when they all add up, make a big difference, make the game more enjoyable, functional, and easier to manage. And I think having something like that would be great. They did also note that, yes, they have deactivated voice and text chat. I think everybody that has played the game for even a sniff of a second is aware of this due to a bug, but they've made good progress on that bug, and they just have a little bit more to do, and they want to reassemble it ASAP because they do identify and acknowledge that being a important function within the game. And I couldn't agree more. It's how people are going to have some fun banter, some funny moments, and even be able to connect with other players that are passionate about the game and have fun with it. And that's pretty much all of the notes that I gathered from the dev stream. I have to say, a lot of people were harsh on them in the live stream, and I think some of the things that people were upset about at different points, maybe a little bit understandable, but I think people's approach overall, it's just this game has a bad reputation just because of the years and years of pushback. However, since the game has come out, I've really enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun with it. I'm excited. The devs seem like they're passionate about the game and have good energy, and I'm excited to see what they put out. So season 1 will be a good indicator of not just how well is the game going to do in terms of when they release new content, but what about that future content? Are they going to capitalize on these promises and these things that they've hinted at? I think season 1 will be a good indicator of if we can be excited about those future content additions that they've mentioned and touched on. A big week for Skull and Bones next week. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of season 1. What are you most excited for that's coming into the game on the 27th? And what would you like to see added into the game that's not necessarily coming in season 1? Make sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified every single time I upload here on the YouTube channel. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button for me. I also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/honestlybrother. I stream every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, predominantly playing Skull and Bones. If you want to come through, come hang out, come chat it up, we'd love to have you. And feel free to join the Discord. It is in the description. It is a link. It's free to join. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you at the next one.